everybody. I am so excited for you to get to experience this session with Claire Besley and myself as we dive into the art of confidence. And we are really just going to spend the next 30 minutes giving you some tools to really dive into understanding limiting beliefs. And honestly, as I've talked to Claire, how simple it is to release those and really build the confidence and step into your power. And so thank you for being here, Claire. Thank you for being with us. And you guys, I just want to give you a little background on Claire because I think she's amazing. She started out in 2011. She left her corporate job against the odds to start this business to help others become their best versions of themselves. And not only that, to be able to do it quickly and easily. And Claire has spent most of her life in life coaching, really guiding others as a business coach, a life coach, and a corporate leader. She's recognized the power of self-doubt and heavy emotions, the toll that it takes on our mind and our body. And her clients were, dealing with the same thing, really these high stress levels, anxiety, depression. I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself. Like I've been in that space. All of the performance pressures that come from, stepping into that corporate lifestyle. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, it all can come to a head. And it became her life's purpose really to uncover the secret to lasting happiness and living a life that was meaningful, purposeful, and easy. So if that sounds appealing to you, you're in the right spot. Claire has collaborated with a lot of talented experts, different areas of wellness and healing, really to find this perfect combination that's going to give you rapid results in something that I think she would probably say is pretty unique in her field. They work internationally, and Claire has learned from the best and brought that all together in this groundbreaking program. Her program's called Inspirited, and it served thousands of clients to help them overcome like professional and personal barriers. I actually think all of those things are intertwined. I don't know about you, Claire, but like we don't really separate the two, right? They're just us. And so how do you overcome those barriers and blocks to get that lasting confidence, self-awareness, and self-worth? And this is all about rewiring neural pathways, looking at your subconscious mind, processing out those limiting beliefs through the body and enabling you to rapidly form positive self-belief. So I love this. The program really, she's done the studies around the results, and the clients that she's worked with, 75% have improved their sense of direction, whether it's in finance, their sense of purpose, and an average improvement in authenticity of 154%, which is dear to my heart because one of my mantra, Claire, is really about being a leader who's connected, who's authentic, and who's loving. And so I am so excited for you to be here. You guys, Claire's trained over 500 professionals in this space all across the globe, really taking the self-directed healing to a new level. And it's unique. It's through this education that you're able to step into that power. So Claire, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to explore this with you. Selfishly going to be taking some notes too, like where do I get to go with this? But tell me a little bit about your journey and your words, and then let's dive in on like, what does it mean when we think about limiting beliefs and confidence, and like how do we change all that? So
Thank you for the introduction. First of all, thank you for doing this. I think it's so needed, and after working with so many men and women in leadership, I think these conversations are very important, and they're not had enough. And so thank you. I'm really grateful. So look, in terms of the work that I've done, I think it is quite unique. There are a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of people working in different fields that can assist you and help you. I suppose what's unique and different about my approach is that we really look at you as a holistic being. So in order to get those stats of 154% improvement in authenticity, you can't just do that through having a conversation. You can't just do that through coaching someone. I have worked as a coach, and I know in order to sort of shift someone's mindset, it really took me a minimum of 3 months in sort of I suppose, talk therapy in a way, having
Yeah.
conversations, getting it out of them, getting them to think differently and have a different perspective. And it was good. And honestly, I think I was all right at doing that, the mental shifting, but something about it just felt slow. So I don't know how many of you out there have had coaches, and they're great and they help lead you in a great direction, but it takes a lot of money, a lot of investment, and a lot of time, and the movement can be quite gradual. And I suppose for me, being a bit of a naturally impatient businesswoman, I was like, I want something that's a bit faster. How do
I
we go
know.
deeper? And I think a lot of people talk about, in order to grow and move your confidence, it takes time and you've got to work hard. And I think they're all limiting beliefs. And so I was very fortunate to, I suppose, be brought up in a household where my father was also a businessman. He had done several successful businesses, but he was also someone that wrote books about the evolution of the soul and the spirit in the body and healing. And so it was a really unique upbringing, because it was many, many years ago that I went through this, but it did give me an ability to look at things differently. And one of the things that I found was really important, that I really noticed working with a lot of these clients, a lot of business leaders, was that it didn't really matter what I said to them or what coaching we did. If they had deep-seated trauma, if they had deep beliefs that that they weren't good enough, or that there was a glass ceiling and they couldn't move forward, it's very hard to shift something that's so deeply embedded through a conversation or through coaching. Now, and I know that there's a lot of different things out there that deal with the subconscious, like hypnosis and tapping and all of these sorts of things, but again, I felt, after exploring all of them, they still felt slow to me. And maybe I'm just highly ambitious, but I was like, I want something fast. I want to be able to go once or twice, not every week for months on end. How do we do this quickly? And so what I discovered was that really, in order to shift a belief that you have, whether it's about your confidence, whether it's about your competence, whatever it is, the thing that is most important to do is to understand exactly what that belief is, how deep it is, how strong it is. And so I might just give you an example of a client that I work with to sort of elucidate what I'm trying to say. And it's a little bit graphic, so there's a bit of a warning on it. But I have a dear friend who has a very successful business, and she came to me with a staff member, a female staff member of hers, that just wouldn't be accountable. So no matter, this person had a very senior role in the business, and I'm sure if you have staff, many of you have experienced this, that was extremely talented and very good at what they do. However, every time something went wrong in the organization that was particularly probably their fault, they tended to outsource it and blame other people and say, it's the systems, it's the business, it's this, it's that. It was never they never fully took responsibility for it. And so when I started working with this client, I understood that there was some very deep beliefs that were embedded in that person, that they were a victim in some sense, but unconsciously. On a conscious level, they were extremely competent, intelligent, but on an unconscious level, there was some deep pain there. And one of the ways that you can sort of work out what's going on with yourself is to always look at a mirror. So when you're someone who is thinking that it's everyone else's fault, it's generally because deep down, your own guilt is so strong that you really think it's yours. So you've got to be able to look and go, how do I use the external circumstances to actually understand what's really going on inside? And so I worked with this person, and then the first thing that I do is I get them to own and go through saying, it's my fault. And this person had a lot of deep disgust for themselves, dislike for themselves. And so what's fascinating is, there's a lot of talk about positive affirmations. And if you just look in the mirror and say, I'm confident, I can do it, I can get there, I can be a superwoman today. The truth is, if in your heart you've got deep shame or guilt, or there's things you've done in your life that you're not proud of, it doesn't matter how many times you look in the mirror and you get all rah-rah about it. That is so strong, that subconscious, that it's going to win, And so one of the most important things is to actually just sit there in the guilt, in the shame, and feel it. And I know a lot of us know this, but what was really interesting from a work perspective or a leadership perspective, this person, when we actually did the work, we started going in and shifting the beliefs and feeling what was going on. It turns out that this person, when they were about the age of 4 or 5, had a mother who literally blamed them for everything, to the point where this 5-year-old had knives thrown at their head.
Oh my stars.
And then the mother would self-harm, and then she would call and then she'd say to the child, it's all your fault. She'd literally cut herself and say, it's all your fault. So,
Oh boy.
so I'm saying, obviously this is an extreme example, but once that individual, that adult in a position of leadership who never ever would have connected these two events,
Yes.
actually was able to process and realize that that deep self-blame and feeling of it's all my fault came from something so long ago that was really nothing to do with them, and was able to feel the pain around it and let it go, they became the highest performer in the business within 5 or 6 weeks, and they had 2 sessions.
Yes.
So I feel like I think if you're lacking confidence, there's only so much you can do from a coaching perspective. And I think even though it might be a tiny trauma, it might just be you couldn't tie your shoes up when someone was watching when you were 10 years old, and it just created a belief that I'm not good enough. It can be these tiny little things. And if we have the courage as women, as empowered women, to go, you know what, I'm not going to sit here in my rational mind and say it's just a result of circumstance and I just need to be tougher and stronger. If we have empathy and compassion, and we're actually have the courage to look back, then we might find some pretty interesting things that can help just literally shoot you forward so quickly, and that we can become incredibly powerful incredibly quickly.
One thing you just shared reminds me of some of the work that I do. And we talk about systems thinking. And so, looking at yourself as a system, it's difficult for a system to inspect itself. It will always defer to the system and be prejudiced to the system. So we ourselves, when we have those things, we protect ourselves. Our mind protects ourselves from whatever that is. And it takes someone to help us hold up the mirror sometimes, right? And really stand with you and look at those things. The word you use, let's do the work. That was my experience a couple of years ago. I really was in this cycle and wasn't achieving what I wanted. And I was literally like repeating the same thing over and over. And it wasn't until I stopped and looked at those things that and got underneath it, that were subconscious. It was things that had happened as a child. And I'm sitting here wondering why my business isn't succeeding. And so that's so powerful and quick. And quick. Tell me a little bit more about the mirror.
I will. I've got a great one. So the mirror is something that we're actually in the middle of authoring a book, and we've just finished the chapter on mirrors. And when I read the chapter, I'm co-authoring it with a client of mine, I actually just burst into tears because I was so relieved, because honestly, if you ask me, the mirror concept in its fullness is the most important thing for people to understand. And seeing it written in a book, 10 pages, knowing that it's going to get out there to the world, to me was like joy in my body, because I'm like, finally, we're all going to have a chance to heal really quickly. And it's such a powerful thing. And I'm going to give you an example so that you understand it. So the mirror concept basically is saying what you see in others is in you. Everything that we perceive in our world is a projection on some level, because what we really experience is our own emotions and our own perception. So everything that you look at is filtered through your childhood experience, your adult experience, your emotions, your feelings, your physical experiences. So the fastest and easiest way to heal and grow and evolve to be the leader that you want to be is to be able to get those mirrors really quickly. So I'm going to just give you one of my examples. And, this was in a training session. We train practitioners. We've got hundreds of them around the world now. And I used to be the trainer before the business grew to what it is now. So I would have, 10 amazing women sitting in front of me for 3 or 4 days. And I'd even be teaching them about mirrors. And I remember there was like one girl that was there in the training, and she just annoyed me. And I don't know if any of you have been to meetings and there's just one person and they just get under your skin and you don't know why, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you just have this innate kind of bias against them and you don't know why, and it's sort of subconscious. And the whole 2-3 days, she was just annoying me so much. And so what I've learned to do is I now look for the mirror. I go, what is it that I don't like about her? And most of the time, it's in me. And it's quite an entertaining one. So I was like, at one point she was annoying me so much that I actually went to the bathroom and I was like, what is it? What is it? What is it I don't like about her? And I was like, she thinks she knows everything. And she was talking in the training that she'd never done before as if she knew everything. And when I sat there in the bathroom, I was like, oh shit, I think I know everything. And then I realized it was like a complete mirror of me. What I'm seeing in her that's frustrating me so much is what I really don't like in myself. because
Yes.
I can come across as a know-it-all too, but I'm unconscious about it, you know. So when
Mhm.
I was able to recognize that what was triggering me was a facet of me, a
Yes.
shadow of myself, I was then able to sit there and go, I think I know everything, and feel the pain of that in my body, and allow myself to physically feel it and process it and go into it and let the tears come up and understand, where did this come from, that I feel I have to be a know-it-all? What's insecure
Yes.
within me that's making me come across like that, to the point where I'm seeing it in someone else and I can't even look at them in the room. You know, so
Hmm.
it can be very challenging. It can be very confronting. I'm giving you a light example. But
Yeah, I can totally resonate with that. I'm still in that space somewhat, but I've kind of taken the avenue that you did, is just recognizing that you source the people, you source the people that are around you, and they are there for a gift and they're reflecting you. And even going to the point of, we're all connected. Like, we're all sharing some level, in my opinion, a level of consciousness, and we have this shared experience. So when we see those things, getting curious, I mean, that's been kind of my word, is what is over there, because it's actually right here within me. Absolutely.
and I
So,
think it's such a fast way to shift yourself.
mhm.
Because I could have spent 6 months talking about that person and how they were annoying and I could have alienated myself and distanced myself from them and treated them differently. Whereas just from that one tiny incident, I got so much learning and growth.
What do you think it takes to break through? Because that to me sounds like a lessening of our ego. I won't say a loss of ego, but like, it takes being humble to really be able to look at yourself in that. What do you find is the shift for people? How do they go from that place of being annoyed to recognizing that, oh, this is a gift and I get to look at this? And how do I, like, what does that look like to
It's a
shift?
really good question. And I think after doing this work, and honestly, I've worked with thousands of clients now from all around the world, there's always two types of clients, okay? There's the type A is someone who's in somewhat of a victim mindset and they're really struggling. They're not even getting by in life. And they're the sort of people that really, they come when they're on their knees, when there's
Hmm.
nothing, when there's no more hope, and they're like, I have to do something now because I have to shift, and they might have one session and just feel okay and be happy with that. The second type of people, which is probably most of our audience here, are the type of people that say, I know there's more. I know there's more of me to uncover, and I know I'm doing okay, but I really want to meet who I really am in this lifetime. And I
Mhm.
really want to, and I'm really motivated to move forward and smash through that and discover my true essence of who I really am. And I want the opportunity in this life to reach my potential. And they're the ones that tend to stick at it and be more motivated, I guess. But I also think some of it is just having the tools, because a
Yeah.
lot of us want to do that, but we just don't know the how. And part of what we're writing about in the book is there's so much information out there about how to understand what's going on with you, what the issue is, but there's not much that actually teaches you what to do and how to do it. And I
Hmm.
think this is what I love about the mirror concept. And I'm going to give you one more example, just so that your listeners get to have a takeaway they can practice themselves,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is really important. So, another example that I had, which was probably quite a few years ago now, maybe 10 years ago, but I think it's a powerful example. I was practicing from home. So I used to have clients come every morning from 9 till 5, and I'd work with them all through the day, probably like many listeners potentially. And at the same time, I've got quite a big place and I had a room to rent. So I rented out a room to this sort of friend of a friend, and I had no idea that she had a bit of a drug habit going on. And so
Mm.
you can imagine I'm in a professional environment where, everything is beautifully clean all the time. And then suddenly I remember one Monday morning, I woke up, I got ready to welcome my first client in through the door. And she's actually out on my balcony, which is visible from my front door, with four men that she'd met in some nightclub, and they were all out doing drugs on my balcony. And I
Okay.
was having a very big meltdown, going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is traumatic and this is unprofessional and I need her out of here.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I know it was a really rough day for me. Thankfully, nothing like this has ever occurred again. But what I did, I sort of spent the next couple of months trying to find ways to get her to leave, and she just wouldn't go no matter what I did. And so basically, what I did, and this is what I encourage everyone to do, and again, it's an extreme example to get my point across. I sat down in my bedroom, I locked the door, I got pen and paper, and I wrote down everything about her that I didn't like. She's manipulative. She's a liar. She's deceitful. She's addicted. And then I crossed out she is in front of every single one of those, and I wrote I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right now, it sounds crazy because clearly I'm not addicted to any drugs, but I said I'm manipulative, and in some part of my body, I felt yes, I am. I said so it doesn't mean it's true. It just
Mm-hmm.
means that some part of you believes it. From what you've been told, from the experiences you have, we all carry guilt, we all carry shame. It just means that somewhere inside you, you have a limiting belief about yourself. And I cried, and I think there was like literally 20
Wow.
of them. I went through every single one. I just sat there processing them all using our process. And by the end, I released them all. Everything was clear. I could read them back. There was no charge in my body. The beliefs were gone. And I went to sleep because I was so exhausted. The next day, she knocked on my bedroom door and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm leaving today." And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I could have done this 3 months ago because it shifted the energy.
You
All
no longer needed her in
I
your
no
space.
longer needed her. She wasn't
She
teaching
was
me anything
free.
anymore. And I've
Mhm.
had a beautiful home life ever since. So I just, even if it's your children, even if it's your colleagues, whatever it is that you see out there that bothers you, you need to take it as an opportunity to discover what is unconscious within you and
Yeah.
start taking a deep look at yourself. To me, when we help clients reach authenticity, part of reaching authenticity is to be able to look at what you don't like, at what
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to see, because that is where your limitations are going to be. They're not in the positives. They're not in all the things you're good at. We all know that. You know what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
It's your blind spots. Once you find your blind spots, now I can sit here and there's no part of my consciousness or my body that feels that I'm manipulative in any way. Now
Mm-hmm.
that might sound small, but that's incredibly powerful when you walk into a boardroom, when you have, because not having those beliefs creates a hell of a lot of confidence. It means
I,
you're grounded, you
yes.
understand yourself, and you're ready for what's next.
What you just said, walking into a boardroom, and like I said, like my contract has had authenticity in it, and I would say that's a positive affirmation, right? That's who I claim from my subconscious, like that's where I want to live. And I know that it's there because I've not felt authentic, in conversations. And I felt that people have misunderstood me. Like I'm trying to be authentic, but is somebody going to think that? And I'm going to do this exercise for myself. I'm actually engaged in a coaching relationship around someone at work who's having difficulty with a coworker. And I think we get to do this activity because she's amazing, but I can see her blind spot and it's not being revealed to her. But just, I think the self-directed piece of that, where it's not someone else telling you that you've got this thing or that thing to work on, but you looking at yourself and being able to work through that practice seems very powerful.
Look, it is, and you can even do it with your personal relationships because that's often where the most triggering happens. They're the best learning tool, because the dynamics are so much more intense. And especially if you've got issues with parents and that sort of thing. I know for myself, issues were always with my mother. So, and a lot of what I notice with clients is when there's really strong emotion like hate or anger, we always think it's external, but it's always us. So when you're angry at someone else, deep down underneath that, I promise you, you're always angry at yourself. It just projects out, but it's in. So I'll give you one more example. I've worked with a lot of parents that have autistic children. And a lot of the autistic children show a lot of emotion that's uncontrolled or unregulated. And this
Mm-hmm.
can inhibit those parents from going into work and feeling great and confident that day. So if you've got a 9-year-old son who's extremely autistic and you can't even pick him up and put him in the car because he's so heavy and he's
Yeah.
having a complete anger outburst, what do? I had a mum, she's probably like 50 kilos. That's very light. And he literally would be so angry he'd have a temper tantrum, and she'd try to get him in the car to take him to school so she could go to work, and she wasn't strong enough. What I learned after working with her was that she
Mhm.
never let herself feel anger. And your children are so connected to you empathically that this
Mhm.
child was merely expressing the anger that she didn't want to feel.
That she
So
didn't
I
want to
said to her, every time your child is angry and they won't stop being angry, what I want to ask you to do is ask yourself, am I angry? And if the
Mhm.
answer is yes, you need to feel it.
Mhm.
Fully go in and feel it in your body, allow it to move. And then it appeared to be magic to her. Her child would just collect themselves, get up, get into the car, and everything would be fine.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly, right? And
Wow.
it actually sounds amazing, but it's so simple. It's just about us having that self-awareness. So if you're lacking in confidence, for me, the solution isn't to look in the mirror and get confidence. It's about let's go
Mhm.
in and ask, why aren't you confident? What are the things that have happened to you to block it? How do we then allow those to process out very, very quickly so that you can then step into your confidence? Because honestly, we are all innately born with confidence. If you
Mhm.
are not confident or if you're lacking confidence, it's because things have happened along the way to erode that confidence from you. So it's really about taking back those pieces of yourself and putting them together in an even more beautiful way than they were before. So
Mhm.
that who you really are and the confident, beautiful being that you really are, who we need you to be, because the world needs you to be confident, is under
Yes.
there. It's just about taking off all the masks so that that true authenticity can shine through and we can all be blessed enough to receive it from you.
Wow. That's power, Claire. Oh my gosh, you are so amazing. Yeah, stepping into that space and just uncovering it and having the tools like it feels like you may do it here and there may be something else that comes up. Like it's not one and done, but when you have that tool, you're able to work through it. And I would imagine it gets easier.
It does, but it always takes courage,
Yeah.
Like I think, but you know what? Most of us listening are women, and that's one thing we have a lot of because we've had to survive, to get on. We women have courage. So as long as you, and sometimes you're gonna miss it, and sometimes you're not gonna get it, and it's okay. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to get it wrong. There's many times where I'm like, I can't be bothered right now. I just want to indulge in my pain a little bit, and that's okay too.
Let me
It's
be
about
here. Yeah.
exactly. It's about being real and being human and going, I'm going to have good days, I'm going to have bad days. But when I'm in the right frame of mind, I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to use it to my advantage to uncover something else about myself, to let my true light shine through. Because, I've been in some pretty serious leadership roles in my life when it's been me and, only men. And
Mm-hmm.
that's created a lot of challenges on its own. But I do think that confidence and authenticity are your best tools in those situations because that's what creates the impact on people. It's about not just shifting heads, but shifting hearts. And when you're in your authenticity, you have a much greater impact. When you're in your heart and in your head, the room will stop and listen.
Yes. I love it. You guys, Claire is all the way in Melbourne. And I'm so glad that you're right here with me in Missouri because this has been amazing. I would love to have you share how people can connect with you. I know you said you have practitioners all over the world. What does it look like to find someone who can work with you in this? Your book's coming out. And what would you share with the group? I want them to be able to connect with you going forward. How do we do that? Give us the goods.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I think the easiest way is just to go to the website, which is www.inspiritedhealing.com. Go
Okay.
there, you can book a one-on-one, you can become a practitioner if you're already a coach and you want to, I suppose upskill yourself to be able to go deeper with people. This is the perfect way to do it. It just gives you a real smorgasbord of a tool set that you can help people get where they need to go.
I love it. Inspirited Solutions.
Yeah. So yeah. So
.com.
it's
And we'll put it,
inspiritedhealing.com and the
okay.
company is called Inspirited Solutions. Yeah.
Okay. Inspirited. I'll put it in the notes so we'll all have it. You guys definitely go out and visit Claire. I hope that this isn't our last time connecting. Would love to see either you or your practitioners join in our I Am Fierce community at some level. And I may even check it out as my coaching and taking that to the next level. I just think it's so powerful to give people tools that work, that don't take years of therapy to figure out the things or have to sit in a space. Like it can happen literally today, right? That release, that new space in your head, cleared up, ready to shine, all of
That's
that
it.
stuff.
That's it.
Thank you so much for being here, Claire. This has been really helpful for me, and I know our guests in the confidence event are going to love it. Our I Am Fierce community, you guys reach out, connect with Claire, get on her list so you can get all of the information. And when's the book going to be finished? Do we know?
About a month or so, not far off. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Yeah,
I'll let you
definitely let
know.
us know when it's
I
released.
will.
That sounds like an interesting read. And you guys, you got some simple tools. Get a mirror, either real or virtual, and look at the people around you because they are giving you the information you need to make this shift. And then I loved your exercise, writing down everything it is that I don't like in that person, whoever that person is, and switching it to I am.
Yeah.
How powerful that is, and just sit in that.
Yeah.
That's my main takeaway, is just be with it and see it. It's okay, like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And
Oh.
look, thank you, and thank you for your energy. I just think you're a gorgeous human being, and I really feel privileged to be here. And I can't wait to listen to all of the rest of the interviews that you're doing.
Yes, we have some amazing speakers, coaches, consultants that are in this space. A mindset. We're looking at, tactics and strategies in your business, relationships. Claire, I feel like you kind of went across all of it. And the reality is they're all integrated, right? When we take care of ourselves and we integrate to be better, feel good, it all works. And so this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.